In the aftermath of his Saturday, September 21st challenge for the IBF heavyweight title, Anthony Joshua came to grips with the reality of the sport of boxing. There's just something about trying to win that heavyweight crown. And when you're trying to win it against a young, strong, motivated, and determined fighter who can punch like Daniel Dubois, the road toward three-time heavyweight champion gets even more murky. Let's talk about the aftermath of this fight, what may have led to the outcome of things, and what may be on the immediate as well as distant horizon for Joshua. The IBF heavyweight title was on the line Saturday, September 21st, when Anthony Joshua challenged titleist Daniel Dubois in a third attempt at becoming heavyweight champion. The fight was broadcast from Wembley Arena in the UK and drew a record crowd of over 96,000. This was the type of fight that UK fans relished tremendously because it was two homegrown fighters fighting for a piece of history with the heavyweight championship of the world. And they were not disappointed by both men, whom performed in an action battle, and it saw Daniel Dubois prevail as champion. But as they took to this journey against one another, one thing that could be said was Daniel Dubois was ready to take the fight to Joshua, and he did exactly that. This fight was action-packed from the bell because Dubois was highly motivated. He understood the job at hand. He understood that Joshua was the man. He had to take everything from AJ, and he wasted no time getting after it. But what was very confusing about this is the man in this fight who was highly favored was Joshua. And after his destruction of Francis Ngannou, he had convinced most casual of observers and even some professional pundits who cover the sport on a continuous basis that he was renewed, that he was a fighter on a mission like no other point in his career. And they could foresee him becoming the undisputed heavyweight champion. And what was at the foot of this? It was Joshua's trainer, the acknowledged Ben Davison, a man who has had Joshua's ear for quite a while now, even though he had taken time to come to America and learn some of the sweet science from Derrick James. The irony is Joshua, for whatever reason, the relationship with James has been severed, and it's Ben Davison who's been accredited to his success prior to Saturday's fight against Dubois. The interesting aspect is this: as you receive the accolades, you also must be prepared to receive the criticism. What criticism may one say? Well, for starters, Joshua, coming into this fight, had been riding the accolades of Davison, having worked with him for his last 4 bouts, and his record now is 28-4 with 25 KOs. Davison has guided Joshua through the bouts of Robert Helenius, Otto Wallin, and Francis Ngannou. Those victories were against men who are not top elite fighters. Ngannou being the least experienced, a novice or maybe less than. But they were talking about Davison having reconstructed Joshua, rebuilt his confidence, and allowed him an opportunity to show a more calculating, experienced fighter. That did not show up on Saturday. What did show up was a fighter in Joshua who Dubois found easy to hit. Yeah, I mean, probably easier to hit than any other point in his career. Dubois was so on top of Joshua, who kept his hands low. He had his chin up in the air and seemed a little sluggish as far as moving out of the way and cavalier even, as he tried to evade some of the onslaught of Dubois. He caught him with a left hook later in the first round and had Joshua on the canvas. I noted early in the beginning of the fight that Joshua was not prepared for what Dubois was bringing. Those low hands and chin flying up in the air were not going to be to his best advantage. In fact, the fact he was on the canvas so quickly told us more about what was happening. The way that this fight ended, with AJ having landed a couple of his right hands, and remember, Dubois had taken some solid right hands from Hrgovic in his previous fight. They were banking on the fact that Dubois would come in here and go after AJ and do things to him that many people didn't think would happen. But it did happen. What was that? It was the fact that Dubois landed shots on AJ that really took him out. And as the fight went on, he was easier and easier to hit, but those right hands from AJ backed him up, allowing him to take a retreat moment as AJ pursued and opened wide with shots to attack. The next thing you know, a counter right from Dubois had him on the canvas. And it was just that fast that the fight was over. I just don't understand if Davison has been so instrumental in bringing Joshua to a place where he should have been able to deal with these circumstances better than he had, what was happening here? Why was this something that took place? The knockout was sudden for a lot of people, but not for Dubois, whose intent was to nail AJ a shot. And AJ gave him every opening. I'm sorry. Ben Davison has to take some of the criticism here. What he showed me was not so much of being an outstanding trainer as much as a guy who may have prepared Joshua to do one thing, and that was to land his right hand on Dubois, because Philip Hrgovic landed so many right hands on Dubois. So was Dubois more prepared for AJ's right hand than AJ was for Dubois? I don't think so, because Dubois worked behind an amazing jab in this fight, and it made all the difference in their performance, because AJ's right hand was not available as much as Hrgovic's was. But all yet and still, there was a lesson learned here. And that lesson is that when you go into a fight, you have to be prepared for whatever may come and not rely upon one weapon, but have a complete arsenal, because that's how you're going to persevere, especially when things are not going your way. What does the future hold for Anthony Joshua, who refused to take questions at the post-fight press conference, once again showing a flaw that you have to be ready to deal with whatever the sport brings, good or bad. There should be a concern for someone who can't face the music. Yes, you are a warrior for choosing to be a professional fighter for a living. Anyone who's getting punched for a living is a willful person. But sometimes the blows that you have to take come from the tongue and the pen. And they could be more destructive than any physical blow that you could take. And you have to be mentally, psychologically prepared for that. And that's something that AJ has not done yet, to become a well-rounded fighter in that sense. If he's ever considered this, then maybe the opportunity at becoming a 3-time heavyweight champion will be within the grasp. But until he's able to understand and realize that, it may not be there for him. But what do you think? This is Stormy B-Man. Shout out to the mighty LDBC and Liberated Perspective, a third eye view of the world. For more content such as this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let me know what your thoughts are about this editorial and what transpired on September 21st. And what do you think may be next for Anthony Joshua? Peace to everyone out there, and everyone please remain safe.